Well, there were 33 recommendations made by the internal working group in November of 2020 with regard to ownership guidelines and the corporate structure in India's private banks. And the RBI has accepted 21 of those 33 recommendations. Let's take you through some of the key ones. One of the main recommendations accepted by the RBI is to allow an increase in the ownership of banks, of promoter stake in private banks from 15% to 26%. This will allow promoters to consolidate control over their banks, and more importantly, owners will have more skin in the game. So the Hindujas are expected to increase their stake in IndusInd Bank. Of course, Kotak Mahindra Bank is pretty much well controlled, 25% plus holding by Uday Kotak in any case, but that will bring some relief to him as he has always wanted larger control over the bank. But one of the key other main banks will be HDFC Bank. HDFC, what it does to try and increase its stake in HDFC Bank will be looked at, quite interestingly by markets. And the other thing will be CSB and Bandhan, both also beneficiaries of this higher cap on holding. Among other key changes, of course, was banks under the NOFHC structure will be allowed to exit subject to conditions, and the conditions largely being that they aren't in other businesses. So, and also one of the other ones which will be looked out for and which will impact some of the fintechs in the country will be payment banks need to be in business for 5 years. So 5 years experience to convert themselves into small finance banks. And Paytm was one of those in contention. Of course, the internal working group had suggested a 3-year tenure. The RBI has more conservatively pushed that back to 5 years. Also, non-promoter shareholding cap has been increased, and now financial entities can own 15% of banks. In terms of universal banks being listed, universal banks will now have to be mandatorily listed within 6 years of commencement of operations, and new small finance banks which are incorporated hereon will have to be listed within 8 years of commencement of operations. However, there have been a couple of large misses as well. Of course, as I did mention, 21 of the 33 recommendations have been accepted. Two of the largest expectations, one was allowing corporate houses to promote a bank. Top corporate houses, we do know Mahindra has been interested in forming its bank. However, that will have to wait for a bit. Also, large NBFCs needed to, in some form or shape, get a conversion into banks. There was also a proposal that with asset size of greater than 50,000 crores should be allowed to convert to banks. And of course, Bajaj Finance was one of the top names in that space. That has also been held on by the RBI. In fact, when it comes to NBFCs, it's been a double whammy. Not only has the RBI held on to this recommendation, it has also enforced newer and more stringent rules applicable to banks to come in a phased manner for NBFCs. So that may be another cause of concern. So largely, the RBI holding for being conservative as it has always been, and making changes systematically. Hopefully more changes on how the conversion will happen and smoother processes which the RBI will announce in coming weeks with regard to these regulations. That's how it's shaped up with regard to the new guidelines.